I think this is a good question. Since I know you've been playing games for like a stupid long time, I've been playing games for a stupid long time. Which franchise has died out for you after this all this time that you're like, oh, I used to play it all the time, and now I'm starting to wind down from it?
Oof. Um, this one I have to think about.
Yeah, I'll
I
probably
think
go.
it's a
No,
go for it.
well, I mean, if you already have the thought, just go ahead.
Uh, it probably won't be a franchise, but if genres for me would have to be like fighting games. Like I used to love playing fighting games, stuff like that, and now it's one of those ones that I want to keep loving them and playing them and stuff like that, but for some reason that I start playing it and then I just fall off way too easy. Like something in me does not want to put the time into it anymore. Like I bought Guilty Gear Strive on sale,
Mm-hmm.
and like I used to love playing the Guilty Gear series and stuff like that on the PlayStation 2 and everything like that. And like it's like all right, I bought it, I played it for a couple weeks, and like it's in the back burner of my head. Like I want to play it, and I'll go, eh, maybe not.
I'm on you with that, only because like, and I think the reason why I'm not too mad about fighting games is because like, if you play like a lot of anime fighting games, they don't really come out very frequently. Like and sometimes you don't even know
Yeah,
if they're coming out or not. Like every time like Blaze Blue came out, it was more like, oh, something ticked me off of it, but I didn't know if it was actually coming out like normally.
yeah,
And normally it's always like, oh, there's a collector's edition for it. I'm like, here's the money. And that's kind of like the only time that I would even like put money towards it because it's like, oh, I love collector's editions. But yeah, like fighting games, I'll play for like a month or whatever, depending on what it is. But I think half of it is because some more time sink. Like I played Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 for as long as I did because I wanted to put the time sink in. Like I really like
yeah,
these two games, and it was like, oh, I love it. Like you finally get your characters. I mean, me and your friend were like back and forth at it at your house for like a while, and it's just kind of like, oh, and it's nice when you're playing against somebody who's better than you because you're actually having fun at that point. Like you're actually
yeah,
like, oh no, I want to get like I was close. I want to get better, or like you're starting to now put like all those combos and stuff to practice instead of like just doing them online and kind of doing it in an echo chamber of yourself. And I like so like for fighting games, I understand that because it's like yeah, some fighting games you play it. Same thing with Strive. Like I played the story, I played all the other things about it, but like I'm the way that it does the mechanics, I'm no putting in all my money for it. I like when other people play it. Like I seen some of like the crazy stuff for Blaze Blue, but there are just some games I feel like they're too slow for me. Like Street Fighter is a really slow fighting game for me, where like you have to be a lot more precise in the movements, and
yeah.
it's not button mashing friendly. It's hard for me to really want to put in the time, and I don't have a fight stick, so I can't put in the time like everybody else is doing it, and so it's like I'm always like PlayStation only controller, blah 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 and stuff. Like I still haven't had the chance to buy a fight stick. The only fight stick
Like
I own is the one for Injustice that works for
I
all
remember
the
that one.
WB
Yeah,
games. Yeah, I still own that fight stick, but that's the only time I ever like busted out. It's like wow, even for like Mortal Kombat 11, it still works.
that's dope. I do want to get into Street Fighter 6 because Street Fighter is. I was really into Street Fighter when it came to 2, Turbo, Alpha 3, and I was really big on 4 as well. And then 5, I never got into one because I didn't have a PlayStation for a while. And then even
hmm
when it came to PC, I was just like, well, it's been out for so long. Like if I jump into it, everyone's just gonna kick my ass. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I actually saw Maximilian talk about that. Is like normally people who don't get into the game early and they want to get in later because they know, like, yeah, they're gonna charge me $60 and it's not gonna be a fair price when it comes out. But then like Ultimate version comes out and it's gonna be $40 and it's gonna have all this content. And they're gonna try to get you to go
Yeah,
back in, but you're going back in where people are already been training for like 6 months to a year,
yeah,
and you're trying to fight these people that are just kind of like bronze doesn't exist like now. It's all like you're bronze, no, you're gonna die. Like
yeah,
the match pairing sometimes isn't like the best, especially for like the more off fighting games. And I think that's why I kind of like DNF Duel, even though I know DNF Duel has some other issues and stuff with it. Like I like the fact that everything feels like it's overpowered. Like some characters are more overpowered than the others, but I feel like everybody has like their niche that makes them good. But there are also other things like, oh, their storyline could be a little bit better. It could be a little bit more interactive with it. There's other stuff. And but if I were to buy the game later on down the line when there's like 30 characters in the game, would I like even play it for as long as I'm trying to play this one now? And I think that's kind of like a good good aspect of like, yeah, you're really gonna fall off pretty easy. But I actually still like fighting games because I'm still buying them. So it's like even knowing all that, I actually still buy them.
I'm excited for Evo. It's this weekend, right?
I think it is. I think it's late too. Like I thought it would have come out a little bit earlier than the year, but I think with all the other events that have been happening, stuff probably the best time for it to come out.
Yeah. What's the franchise that died for you?
For me, it's kind of really easy. Honestly, it really comes down to Pokemon.
Really?
Because like the difference between when I would always play Pokemon to like not playing Pokemon again, like I've always chased the feeling of going from red and blue to silver. Like that transition of like waiting for the next Pokemon game and it being everything that you ever wanted from it. Like I love chasing that feeling, and like I miss it because it was like, oh, that's when I really didn't have a lot of money. Like me gathering up every penny, anything I could find to try and quote unquote buy this game when you know like your parents are probably gonna help you with like the rest of it. But just the fact that you're getting in and then like, oh, in 30 minutes this game's gonna be in my hands. In 5 minutes this game's gonna be in my hands. In 30 minutes this game's gonna be in my console. Like it's, you know, you just like that excitement is
any
like,
special edition or anything I could get of the game I want to buy.
Yeah, but the excitement of like the next version is here. Like it's here. I could play it. You chasing now, but you never find it now, and that's I think that's what hurts because Pokemon has gone on for a long time, and the thing about Pokemon is it does stuff today that's to me is still kind of inexcusable for what Pokemon is and what could be put behind it. I start thinking like I think about what Warren said, like Pokemon really should be more of an action fighting kind of thing, where instead of being just regular RPG and stuff, you should be able to control the Pokemon. You should be able to like A, jump, B, slap, you know, like do all the moves, stuff like that. And at first I'm like, yeah, I would like that. I'd probably like it for a separate game. But then I think like, oh, now what if the game evolved to that? What if the game was really like, yeah, like we're actually having a fighting Pokemon battle, like it's lasting 30 minutes because like you're actually duking it out with sick Pokemon. And I guess my expectation when I'm older like that, like Pokemon has not got to that point. Like it finally got to the 3D world, and I remember I was really excited for Pokemon to be in that 3D aspect. But you're still looking at it like it's a 2D game. Like yeah, maybe some other stuff got different, but you're still playing it like it's a 2D game. You're still playing it like you're just a regular like basic RPG, which in a lot of cases I do like for depending on what the game is, so long as everything else makes up for it. But like you said, attention span is a lot harder when no one's talking. It's a lot harder when you notice like the Pokemon that actually come out per game is starting to become smaller and smaller. Yeah. And they're starting to not really connect games to where like, oh, I can get a lot of my older Pokemon back. So now you kind of realize, oh, every Pokemon I put my heart into it, like I can't really use it. And the next thing, or they cut a service for it or something like that. And it's just kind of like when I play that game and then it just sounded like, God, like nothing's really here for me. And then it hurt a lot when you kind of realize that it's like, oh man, I really wanted more out of Sword and Shield. Like I really, not just like the cool Pokemon. Yeah, everybody loves the starters. The starters they put the most money into. That's cool. Oh, let me get a new type of Pikachu or whatever. Well, who cares? But it's just like when you're not doing anything else with it, it becomes a really harsh thing. And maybe that's just kind of like my thing of like, oh well, I mean, sure, like maybe I'm expecting more out of it than I should, but I'm all like, Pokemon started in 1998, and it's 24 years old now. The game franchise itself, not like anime is a completely different whatever they're trying to do over there, but like just the game itself, the same game company making like 10 generations of this game, and it felt like it barely got the graphical update. Like even then, like when Sword and Shield came out, it was older graphics from the other Pokemon games. So I mean that they weren't even trying to really like make this thing like an explosive new experience. And it's like, well, they're still trying to make it to where younger people today can play it. And it's like, yeah, but younger people to play today are playing Fortnite. They're playing games that are stimulating. They're playing games that are like the game mode is 5 to 10 minutes and they jump into the next game. Like that's the type of game that they're playing. They're not playing like, oh, let me calculate my EV values and stuff. Only old Pokemon players are gonna really kind of be in that mindset of like, I need to get the right breeding. I need to get the right, like I need to catch the right Pokemon with the right like feelings. You know, like
I fight it with the right type of Pokemon and stuff.
yeah,
like
try to sell that to like a kid today, and it's like that would be impossible. Like it's harder for them to get all the concept that it's gonna hit them later on if they don't do it now. But it's like no, because they're just gonna play the game because that's what they're here for. They're here to play the game and beat the gyms and all that. And I think the Sun and Moon, where they did try to change it up a little bit of like, can we change up the gym situation a little bit to be something different? And it's like, okay, I can see where it's going with it, but I wasn't too fond of the change. But I played the game. Like I went and beat it and all of that. But when you go into the next big game and you're just kind of like, maybe like I can come back to it, and then you don't. That's when I realized, man, like this game has been with me for a long time, and I'm starting to just like, that's why like you asked me, like, yeah, I want to play the new games, but I hate to put it down after 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm kind of putting like all my baskets into the Scarlet one because like Arceus got my attention. Like the open worldness and stuff like that, but there was also things I didn't like about okay, I was like, I see where they're going with this, and then so I didn't buy it because I was like, let's see how it comes out, let's see how it goes, I'll wait to see if I'm gonna get it. And then they announced Scarlet and Violet, and I was like, oh well, it's pretty much the same thing of Arceus but in a quote unquote modern time instead of being in the past. And it's more towards the formula of Pokemon, but you can see they're trying to change it.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm gonna get it when it comes out, put time into it, and hopefully that will reignite that spark in me for that game.
Yeah, because everybody says that thing with Pokemon Legends Arceus, it's like it was in the right direction, it just didn't commit, right? Like it was there, but it didn't really commit to everything that it actually could have done. And I kind of fully agree on it. For someone who hasn't played the game, obviously, like I can't really say like I'm the best expert at it. But when you watch 20 people say the same thing that are playing the game, you kind of feel like you have formed a better opinion about it. Like they did something new, it was kind of working towards it, but they really need to do more to make this game somewhat different. And to me, I feel like they're changing some aspects, but not like the main gameplay core aspects. Or there's some stuff they don't do fully, like character customization. Like they were slowly introducing that in some aspect, but you could tell they didn't go all in. Like there could have been like a whole lot more things you could have dressed your character as, very early, and like the concept of it. You can make it to where both boys and girls actually have a lot of outfits to get into, not the girls being like, yeah, the girls have 100 million things they can dress in. The guys are like blue jeans, white jeans, black jeans. So it's like you want,
a bunch of different T-shirts. That's it. Just
it's like to the point where it's all like, yeah, why pick the boy character when the girl's gonna have like 30 different accessory items that you can be as, and it's just like it's just having that concept and going further with it. Knowing that like that concept is making money for all these free to play games, it's kind of weird for me that like this game won't do it. And that sort of thing, it's not that I'm expecting a new game to have all this new stuff. And honestly, if there was a Pokemon game that was kind of like the kind of Pokemon game I think should be created, it'd be very hard, like if they don't sell it as Pokemon, for me to even notice it. But I'm not going to hold them to the fire. I'm going to hold the Pokemon Company, Game Freak. Those are the people I'm looking at being like, hey, y'all have to be tired of making the same game the same way that I'm tired of playing the same game. And that's
the crazy thing too, though, is like they're still selling really, really well. and I wonder if that's what's stopping them from trying to change it so much.
I honestly thought Pokemon Go would have died a long time ago. And it's still
It's
going.
going
People are
strong.
still playing. Like, you could do more stuff into the game. And when that game came out, yeah, I was doing it a lot. It got me out the house and got me walking around the university more than I did when I was actually attending classes. But
Being there
it is.
1 in the morning, going to eat pizza like at 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
When they
it's
close,
all
so we
like
can keep going.
going to the west side because like, yo, Dragonite's there. I could bust it and I could drive.
Yeah.
I just gotta drive over Franklin Mountain to be 30 minutes, whatever. Like, it's just the funny part of it. It's all like it got me out, but that game I thought was gonna be more of a gimmick because after a while people were gonna stop playing, but the only
Yeah.
person that stopped playing was me. It's like people were still playing the game, and it's like, yeah, just like a fresh concept of the same thing kind of works out. But now it's like, well, how do we make the main game bring me back? And that's why I say, if there's any franchise, I know some I probably have died out with that I don't remember them, but it's probably because they didn't have like a long shelf life for me. Pokemon is just like Super Smash Brothers itself, like Persona. When the game comes out, I own it. That's kind of what it is. It's like the game came out, I bought it. Like the game defined me buying the console. Like Super Smash Brothers defined me buying a Switch. Like to the point where like, oh, I kind of wanted to buy a second Switch so me and Laura can play. And at one point I did have 2 Switches, but I was like, no, that's overkill. I just only got the second one because it was the Pikachu and Eevee one. So like I saw my old one. So that's the only reason why I even got it. Like I don't have the OLED version because I was like, there's no point. Like they didn't do everything for that version, especially now with the Steam Deck being out. It's like, if I'm gonna buy something, I'll put more money and save more money for that thing and get that one day.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, it's hard. Like when I think about other franchises, like really, that's how much Pokemon mean to me. Is that I wanted Pokemon to grow up like I grew up, and I guess that's the best way to kind of say that is like I wanted Pokemon to grow up the same time I did, and that way I could play the new version and be able to compare. But now I'm just comparing the past to what it used to be, and the person that was excited about it in the past isn't here today.
I also think like there's never been that moment of like when you go from Red and Blue to Gold and Silver, and you have that moment where you meet like your old character, you meet Red, and then you battle him at the end. Like, I haven't found any other Pokemon that I ever played where it was like that epic of a moment.
That too, there has not been a game for Pokemon that allows you to go through all the regions, and I always thought that would have been a thing at one point because that was such a big thing about why Gold and Silver was better than Blue and Red. Because if it wasn't for that, they'd probably be kind of even. But the fact that you can take on Johto and then get all the badges, and you're like, oh, you're not done. You actually just played half the game. We're going back to Kanto, and we're going back to like part 2 because it was Gold and Silver were Pokemon 2. That's basically what it was. It was the second Pokemon after the Pikachu edition, and you got all those moments of fighting Red for the first time and knowing, hey, this guy's actually a different person, but he's actually a real person that you get to go against, and it's like that's such a big moment that they just didn't do again. Right?
I thought they were gonna do it. I thought they were gonna do it again with either Black and White 2, or Sun and Moon 2, and they never really did that. They just added more to the same thing, but it was the same thing. It didn't change it up.
Yeah, and I just thought that would have just been like a nice DLC thing to do. Like, yeah, okay. Violet and Scarlet come out, you do the main game, you get like the cool Pokemon and stuff, but for you to actually get the other Pokemon, we're gonna release the Johto update. And now you just graded like gameplay for now I'm in it. I'm gonna go to Johto. Everybody's playing that. Everybody's moving on. We find the new Pokemon. Oh, now the Kanto. Now Hoenn. Like all these other places like opened up. You're thinking like, well, isn't that the way to kind of have a game continue? Just like Assassin's Creed does that today. Like Valhalla, like brings up more content that it's just extension of the game afterward. Even some of the stuff that like I don't really care for it, but they're real extensions to what I play. And so it's like, I'm not going back to like the older games, of course, because they all happen in different timelines. But I am extending the gameplay with these different type of DLCs. So I'm just like, again, I don't understand why Pokemon isn't doing this versus like other franchises.
I personally think it's just because for some reason they sell like crazy. There's just something about it. I don't know what it is for like. A lot of fans like us and stuff like that are like, okay, we want that. updated game, that grown up version in a sense, where it's like not to say it has to be like mature and stuff like that, but it's just it's evolved. No pun intended. But
And yeah, I say that too. Like, I think one of the biggest things is, I think if you look at it at data, is probably like that too. Like, if you, the only way to really look at something objectively is look at the data of what's actually going on. And a lot of times, cause yeah, like if you want to block out what people are saying, like you want to block out what I'm saying, like you're just gonna go based on the data. Like, how many copies did we sell, and who do we sell it to? Where did they sell? And it's like when you start hitting like, oh, I actually sold 1 million copies of a game. At that point, you're thinking that you're doing what you're supposed to do. So it's like, yeah, like there's no other feedback to tell them outside of like, you know, either do like a Twitter thing, which, you know, that's probably doesn't work against the Japanese company as much, and you know, or just other stuff, because yeah, like it's just kind of like, what else could you do? What else could you express your feelings outside of just not buy the game? And I think that's kind of like what I came down to. It's like, the only way I could tell them is I didn't buy the game, but Pokemon makes so much money that it's like, even with all the backlash from Sword and Shield because of that, it was still one of their most selling titles for the franchise. And it's just like, yeah, like, well, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm not doing stuff, but it's like, I don't have the data. Like, I don't understand like how they come to their conclusions. All I know is, you made the same game 20 years. Like, you have to tell me that you're tired of making the same game.